Riverside.
And as always, it's the 4th and 1 podcast, live from Lancaster and Lidditz, Pennsylvania. You can find us at anchor.fm/4th and 1, at Instagram 4th and 1 podcast, at Instagram, and I believe YouTube at 4th and 1 podcast. As always, I am your host, Fancy Trash Can, a.k.a. self-nickname, a.k.a. Beaverhead. Next to always is Captain Boring, the
What
man,
it
the
do?
myth, the legend himself, both wearing Michigan gear. And after technical difficulties next week, we're looking for a very good podcast, and I'm glad to be back with you guys.
But if he has technical difficulties, not to fear people, I will just continue it. I'm just gonna ramble on then.
Per usual. Sorry. Hair on my pants. Micaiah.
What up?
Still no response from Deion Sanders regarding his mass exodus last week. I just wanted to look that up real quick.
Yeah, no response. However, he did have a response about the only one kid from an HBCU being drafted in the NFL. And he said it was... I want to use his exact words. I think he said disgrace. No, that wasn't the word he used. He said, I don't know, fill some time while I'm looking this up.
Oh, I was trying to find who it was.
He said it was...
That was weird. Let me see. HBCU.
Deion Sanders.
Disagrees with Deion Sanders, HBCU talent. I'm trying to fit... Rips NFL team for lack of HBCU talent. I'm trying to figure it out. Oh, Florida A&M. Isaiah
Ashamed.
Land.
He says the NFL should be ashamed. So I'm so glad that we just wasted 20 seconds of people's lives trying to look that up on live and not talking. But here's the deal. No, the NFL should not be ashamed because HBCUs, for the most part, are what, Simeon?
Historical black colleges?
Well, yes, but they are FBS or FCS?
FCS.
Correct. You want to take a run at how many
There's
kids?
a single FBS HBCU.
You want to take a run and a guess at how many FCS kids were drafted?
I'm going to say 5.
No, a little more than that, 10. 10 were drafted.
Double
So
that.
he's complaining that only 1 of 10 FCS kids taken,
10%.
10% of FCS kids were HBCUs. He claims that the NFL should take more HBCUs kids. Here's the deal. Again, if they were FBS programs,
The kids would be getting taken.
he would have an argument. But he doesn't have an argument because it's not like out of the 200 and I think it's 266 or 265, something like that. If like 90 of them were FCS kids and only 1 from HBCU, absolutely. 10 FCS players were taken in this past draft. He doesn't have an argument. And so if he's trying to turn Colorado into an HBCU and bring up all these kids from FBS and get kids that would normally go to HBCUs to play at Colorado, he's going to fall flat on his face. Which Robert, not CFP insider Roberto, would just be excited about, and would I, because I'm already tired of Deion Sanders, and he's been at Colorado for 3.5 minutes.
So on a different story and on a different note, we're just going to leave Micaiah there.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good wrap-up on last week's episode.
He did land a single 4-star cornerback from Florida State.
Yeah, he'll probably be there for a year and then transfer out, just like the
Jordan
rest of his
Tyson,
roster.
one of the wideouts, the 4-star wideouts, is now going to play for, Oklahoma. So
Oh my goodness. Okay, so Clearly, these kids are good enough to go play at other big-time programs, and Deion's just letting them walk right out the door.
Well, none of them have gotten picked up yet. There's like 3 that got picked up, and like one of them went to Houston. He's a 3-star. Another 3-star went. He's probably Hawaiian, and he went to Hawaii.
Well, and just to kind of put a bow on this, if nothing else, you need the kids. If you're trying to rebuild a program, you need the kids that have been with you or been with that program when they were 1-11.
Yeah,
because they're going to do all the dirty work. They're going to do all the dirty work for you.
Yeah, I agree and disagree with you. I think what we agreed on is he has 2 seasons or he's out.
Yep.
Because he just made too much heat. Speaking of a little bit, you brought up the NFL draft earlier. I was thinking before we get to kind of our main point, we could go over the couple people who jumped out to us in the NFL draft, plus the first round. What you think? This is just me throwing this at Micaiah here. First round, and then people who popped out to us a little bit. So Bryce Young overall to the Carolina Panthers.
I think both of the quarterbacks, whether it's C.J. Stroud, who went number 2, or Bryce Young, who went number 1, you're going to have success as long as you give them both good weapons and a solid offensive line. Like, yeah, I saw nothing from C.J. Stroud in college or Bryce Young in college that tells me that they're not hard workers and they're going to be a bust. I think the surprise pick was number 4 is Anthony Richardson. But Shane Steichen, who was the former offensive coordinator for Philadelphia, wanted another Jalen Hurts, and this is about the closest thing. I mean, he's more athletic than Jalen Hurts.
Their QB coach also came from.
He's bigger. He's bigger. He's faster than Jalen Hurts. But I think Shane Steichen wanted a moldable prospect, and Anthony Richardson was it.
Florida, had 5 losses last season, right? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, something
maybe
like that.
6. Yeah.
They did really good for a first-year coach for going from small school to big school sort of situation. So, shout out. The
biggest.
5.
Yeah, number 5. Yeah, go ahead.
Number 5 was Devon Witherspoon out of Illinois. That's a Big Tenor. He's the second highest Big Tenor. That's not a QB. So the highest Big Tenor, that's a QB. I don't remember watching him just dominate at Illinois. You must have seen more than I did.
Well, corners you don't really see dominate anyway, because if they're doing their job at an elite level, you don't see them all game on the screen, no matter how much you pass. The problem is you're taking a corner at 5. He's 5'11" and 3/4, 180 pounds. He didn't really have an interception over the last 2 years. Again, I kind of like my corners big and athletic, like a Darius Slay, like a Keely Ringo, heck, like a Christian Gonzalez who went at 14. I thought it was a little high,
17.
Especially 17, excuse me, but especially for a corner in the Big Ten, like in the Big Ten West. Who exactly is Devon Witherspoon going up against in the Big Ten West to challenge him?
That's fair.
Right? Like, what quarterback is he going up against in the Big Ten West that's going to challenge him? And the answer is none. I mean, Aiden O'Connell, who just went in the 5th or 6th round, I believe, in this upcoming draft, like, he was the best quarterback that Devon Witherspoon saw all year. Okay, and that should say a lot because it's per don't. Okay, like, so I think that's a risky pick, but it was a great need. Again, I would have gone Christian Gonzalez or Keely Ringo. No, how Keely Ringo fell to the 4th round, I have no idea, but again, scouts are much better at me than things. It's just I watch hours and hours of football, and when Keely Ringo are running the exact routes of the Tennessee wide receivers and the Alabama wide receivers, that's all I got to see to put him at one of the top, at the a top position of my draft board.
Whoa, stroking out there, my dude.
Yeah, well, I did the 10-minute sports report at 5:45 this morning, okay? So you got to cut me some slack.
How do you spell Keeley?
I think it's Key. Oh my gosh. Kellee. I just created a new letter.
You said he went in the 4th round?
I think so.
Because he wasn't there. Who'd he play for? I don't remember this dude.
He played for Georgia. He got drafted by Phil.
Kelee. Yep.
Yeah, it's exactly what I said.
By the E.
Well, I
Yep,
said
and
Key.
Yeah, you did. So that made me do Key. Now you got me doing it. You know who drafted really well? Because I realized that I don't.
The Philadelphia Eagles, because they took every single Georgia player ever.
No, I don't think actually they drafted that.
Okay,
They drafted for needs. The Seattle Seahawks.
No.
What do you mean no?
Okay, well, first of all, they took Devon Witherspoon at 5.
Okay, yes. I don't like their 5 pick, but the rest of their picks, look who else they got.
Who
Do you want
else
me to
did
name
they
them off for you?
Yeah, go ahead, name them off.
At 20, they got Jackson Smith and Jigba. I
Okay.
liked him more than you did.
No, I like Jackson Smith and Jigba. It's just he was hurt all the time.
Sure, but yeah, they have 2 other guys they can throw in
Yep.
there.
First time in NFL history where 4 straight wide receivers were drafted. It went Jackson Smith, Quentin Johnson, Jay Flowers, and Jordan Addison.
Zay Flowers, sorry.
Zay Flowers.
Yeah, I'm normally the ones getting.
All right,
things
at
wrong
20, Jackson Smith and Jigba. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, at 37, Derek Hall, edge, Auburn.
Yeah,
which was good.
that's fine.
20 at 52, Zach Charbonnet.
Yeah, nice little running back. Michigan fans should be familiar with him.
Which they need another kind of 3rd string back. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up bouncing around the league a little bit, though.
Zach Charbonnet, I wouldn't also be surprised if he was a breakout star because he has that mix of speed and power that you want in a running back.
Yeah, I think he's going to do much better at the second. There are some running backs who do crappy and then they get to the NFL and they do a really good. There is certain aspect of scheme and sort of stuff.
He was good at Michigan. He was even better at UCLA.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just going to go over here. Derek Hall, Zach, Anthony Bradford, guard LSU, Cameron Young, defensive tackle, Mississippi State. They took Mike Morris, in the 5th round.
Mike Morris from Michigan, yeah.
They took the Olui. Yeah, pronounce his last name for me.
Olatimmy.
Thank you. In the 5th round too, which wasn't he the winner? Wasn't he a 2-time center?
He was the Remington Award winner, so best interior lineman.
Twice,
yes.
Right?
He was a finalist one year. He won it last year, and he was a part of the best offensive line in the country. Again, I don't know how he slipped that far.
So that was a good pick by them.
Yeah, all the Michigan players either went to the Cowboys or the Seahawks.
Yeah. They picked up I don't even know what position. Oh, SAF. I don't even know what position that is. Jarek Reed II from New Mexico. And then another Kenny McIntosh, running back from Georgia. Who was Mr. Irrelevant? I just thought that was a good draft. That one stuck out to me for some reason. I don't know why.
I liked what a lot of people don't, but what the Texans did with their draft haul from the Deshaun Watson trade. They got C.J. Stroud. They got Will Anderson. You got those guys basically pretty cheap for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was kind of like a Madden trade almost. Because they picked then 2. They picked at 2, and then they traded back up to 3. But the rest of Houston's draft I thought was real nice. It was C.J. Stroud, Will Anderson, then it was Juice Scruggs, a center.
Great name, by the way.
Yeah, it is. Nathaniel/Tank Dell, a wide receiver. They got Dylan Horton, a D-end. Henry To'oTo'o, an interior middle linebacker from Alabama. Interior middle linebackers from Alabama always play really good.
Yeah.
Jarrett Patterson, a center from Notre Dame. They had one of the best run games in college football. Xavier Hutchinson, very underrated wide receiver because he played at Iowa State. And then Brandon Hill from Pittsburgh.
That's a really, really good draft by them. The
Yeah.
issue with Houston is not who they can pick; it's who they pick to coach and their ownership. That's been
Yeah,
the
they
issue.
picked a defensive coordinator. I wasn't overly thrilled with
I
that.
don't
By
know
the
who
way,
owns
Mr.
them. They do a
Irrelevant,
really bad job.
Mr. Irrelevant is Desjuan Johnson, defensive end from Toledo, and he went to the Rams.
So, who had the most selections somehow at 14? They had 14 selections.
Because
You know who
they
had the
got a
fewest?
bunch of compensatory picks because they traded Jalen Ramsey and they gave up a whole bunch of first rounds, and so the NFL has to like kind of keep it even, I would guess.
Do you know who got the fewest? Which is interesting.
Who?
The Dolphins.
Well, the
They only drafted
the Dolphins didn't have a first round pick because of it was discovered that there was some tanking going on.
I forgot about that. The Eagles drafted
Holy
all
moly.
defensive players minus Tanner McKee, who will be playing in the USFL probably next season.
Dude, you weren't kidding. So, I mean, the Rams pick in round, they had one pick in round 2, 2 and 3, 1 and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 round 5 picks, 1, 2, 3 round 6 picks, and 3 round 7 picks. Holy moly. So, I mean, the Rams, because they didn't have a first round, they got to hope that some of these kind of later round guys pan out.
Zach Evans at Mississippi. It's Ole Miss. Why do
What
I
about
know
him?
that name?
Zach Evans from Ole Miss, a
Yeah.
running back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was probably mentioned a bunch this year. I mentioned him a bunch. They had a really good running game this past year.
It's probably why. Also, they picked up the tight end from Clemson, which was one of the tight ends from Clemson, which was a good pick by then. I just want to look here before we move on. Who the Miami Dolphins? All 4 people they selected. Rounds 2, 3, 6, and 7. Cam Smith, Devon Akane, probably running back Texas A&M.
Yeah. Oh,
Eli-
Devon A-Chain.
Even cooler when you
Yeah.
pronounce it correctly.
Yeah, it is.
Elijah Higgins from Stanford, and Ryan Hayes. Do you know
From
that name?
Michigan.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, it is.
So, I don't know. I think everybody drafted well. Some people laughed at some picks. I think the only pick that I laughed at was the Colts taking Anthony Richardson. I think they took him too high. They're risking a lot there for first years. I get that they needed a quarterback, but I don't know.
Oh, what'd you think of Will Levis fall into round 2? He was supposed to go
think-
top 10.
Yeah, no, that was correct.
I agree. I think that Will Levis was a little overrated along with Anthony Richardson. But if I had to choose, because teams do this every year,
Also,
you choose a quarterback that might be a little overrated but has higher upside, Anthony Richardson.
that's fair. I think the weirdest thing, also great pickup for the Steelers getting Joey Porter Jr.
Yeah, his dad used to play there.
But for where he fell, Joey Porter Jr. was another very good cornerback. But so you have 2 underperforming college quarterbacks. Sorry, overperforming, under-delivering college quarterbacks. Now, as the Tennessee Titans, because you have
Malik Willis.
Malik. I was going to pronounce his
Malik
name.
Willis and Will
Malik-
Levis.
And Will Levis.
Yeah.
After Ryan, because Ryan Tannehill, I don't think is on the roster anymore.
No, he is.
Oh.
They still owe him a lot of money, and the Titans are also running out of cap room right now. Because
So
they're
I don't
paying
know
Derrick
what
Henry
they were
and-
thinking as down there.
What what team I don't know what they were thinking?
The Green Bay
And,
Packers.
No. Green Bay is always going to do what Green Bay does. And I guess that
Yeah.
this goes for this team as well. The freaking New England Patriots. The problem last year was they had no offensive weapons. So
Yeah.
let me just tell you, position that they drafted: quarterback, defensive end, interior linebacker, center, place kicker. That happened in the 4th round. Guard, wide receiver in the 6th round, punter, wide receiver, 6th round, corner. For one of the worst offenses in the NFL last year.
I mean, are we surprised that a defensive coordinator drafted defensive players?
Are we surprised Bill Belichick? No, but I think that this speaks to Tom Brady. I mean, Tom Brady was working with nothing. And no wonder why he won it out, because they just defensive players. Bill Belichick cannot draft, and he lucked into Tom Brady. If he had not lucked into Tom Brady, Bill Belichick would go down as a forget-me-not coach. Like,
I think
no one would remember him.
So when it comes to GOATs, the GOATest of all GOATs is Tom Brady, and I think he proved that by winning 2 Super Bowls in Tampa.
He only won 1, but okay.
No, he played in 3?
No.
2?
No.
2? He played in 2.
No.
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't.
He only played in 1 in Tampa.
Yeah. He played in 2020. That one in 2020. Or 2021, whatever year it was. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I thought he did more down there.
No, I mean, he was only there for 3 years.
That's fair. Yeah, everybody's lining up to give him money now.
Because the Rams beat him the 1 year.
That's
the one
right.
year, the second year he was there.
The reason that the Rams have all
beat
become
him.
Contemporary, compulsory, whatever that word takes. Anyway, all right. Speaking of a
Being
too old,
compulsive?
he should retire defensive coordinator that is the head coach. We're going to go to the SEC.
Okay, sure.
Did you like that?
I did. It was a smooth transition. Yeah, absolutely.
It was a horrible transitions. My transitions have been horrible. Reports out of the SEC when they had their little shindig, powwow, get together, whatever you want to call it.
League meetings, I would call it.
Yeah, that thing. My names are cooler. Reports coming out that the SEC is working on banning field stormings, and by that I mean I'm trying to find the actual numbers.
They would double, instead of 150,000, it would be like 250,000 for a field storming.
And this would be per season, not per season. So if you, dude, just drop the ball down the stairs.
Yeah.
If you storm the field once, it'd be 150. If you storm the field twice, it would be 300,000. If you storm the field again, it's $500,000.
Yeah. Plus, you would lose a home game the next year.
I missed that part when I read the original article.
Yes. I'm looking it up right now. Okay, here we go.
Oh.
So you ready for this? Here's what it is. So, well, you were too slow, so catch up. So here's what it is. The SEC had a policy on field or court storming in place since 2004. Okay? SEC currently fines a school $50,000 for the first offense. Fine some booster, Peyton Manning, whoever, writes a check, whatever. Then it increases to $100,000 for second and $250,000 each one thereafter. The fine money is deposited into an SEC postgraduate scholarship fund, who determines who that goes to. I don't know. Probably people that shouldn't. But anyway, they are mulling the idea that if FAM storms the field, their teams could surrender home field advantage the next time they face that opponent. You know what this rule screams to me is? Nick Saban doesn't like the fact that his teams are so good, so every time his teams lose, the opposing fans storm the field. So he stomped and cried about it enough to where the SEC has to look at it. And the problem with this is that the SEC is like one of the only leagues in college football that actually gets ish done. So this is probably going to be a thing, and this aggravates me to no end. If you are the number one team or a top 10 team, right, and you lose on the road to an arch rival or someone else. Fans have the right to storm the field. It is an inalienable right of a college football fan to storm the field if your team beats a top 10 team. 100%. 150%. And so the fact that the SEC is even investigating this is nothing short of a farce. I don't even know what that word means, and I hope I used it correctly, but it is just a terrible, thank you, terrible thing. And again, it is, you basically are telling the team, oh yeah, you guys got to just celebrate in the stand. Okay, fine, but field storming has always been a thing, so why are we trying to get rid of it? You gonna say anything? You just gonna be quiet over there?
I was letting you go off because that's the way that it is.
I kind of, once I got the word, once I used the word farce wrong, you could have just ended my rant there.
So, you're 100% correct with Nick Saban. First, my favorite is, this is the AP's article on it. The SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey, when people want to go, they want to go. But we have to retrain people to stay in the stands.
Get out of here, Greg Sankey.
Dude, okay, yeah, that's the thing. Is it's very clear that he doesn't care.
Yep.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hello?
I'm here. Keep going.
All right.
No, I'm still here.
All right, you just cut out on me. It's very
bad.
very clear that he only has to care because Nick Saban, because it's literally down here. A video appeared of Alabama to show Alabama's wide receiver Jermaine Burton making contact with a female fan while coming off the field, and Nick Saban says, "I talked to him. He was scared. I was scared." No, you won't. Shut the F up. Some of the other players were scared.
Stop it. Then coaches need to train their kids. And of course they can't. Coaches would say, well, you don't plan to lose. Okay, but here's the thing. You say, listen, guys, if we lose this game, 60,000 people are going to be on the field. So, as soon as that clock hits 0, you sprint to the locker room.
Right.
That's it. Because I guarantee you, every single player on the field is more athletic than the drunk frat boy jumping
or frat girl, don't forget
onto the field.
The white girl.
Well, it's a sorority, so get that right. If you're going to do it, get it right. But either way, they are more athletic than who's ever coming onto the field. But he wants to retrain people.
No, it's honestly stupid. The Pac-12 policy for storming the field or court is 25 for the first offense, raising to 50 and 100 of subsequent violations.
So the Pac-12 doesn't care. I wonder what the Big Ten's is, because Michigan didn't for the longest time. It had no policy
as of 2019. The Big Ten Conference did not respond to calls or messages.
Well, guess what? The Big Ten doesn't give an ish.
Here's the thing. They had this issue in basketball, right? Like 3 or 4 years ago. I forget what years. It probably means it was like 6 years ago now, right? They had this issue. People kept storming the courts.
Oh, right. Yeah. And people would storm the courts for pointless things, yeah.
And they would get in front of players, and players would get, in heated moments. You know how basketball players are. They're only second to soccer players as far as divaness goes.
Mm-hmm.
So things happened. Punches were thrown, that sort of stuff.
Right.
So you know what they did? They made a security funnel at the end of every game for the away team.
Oh, to funnel the kids through the funnel?
Yeah, security just made a poof right to the tunnel. And that's all that they did. And guess what? No offense. First of all, if you're sitting on the away side of the field. So at Michigan, the away side, first of all, at Michigan, storm the field all you want because the exit is right there on the away side.
Yeah. And the student section's on the opposite corner.
Correct. Second thing. even if it's not, let's say like SoFi or the NFL, where normally these tunnels are at one of the end zones,
Right.
right? Both sides of the end zones, normally both sides of the end zones. You can make a security funnel, and those people behind you are not going to be the ones storming the field. It's going to be mostly the student section, followed by everybody else, and by that time, you're going to be able to get off the field. I understand posing the fine violations, but
Sure.
it's stupid
Yeah.
to think that you can change people's reactions when it's something as stupid as sports. Like, we have a podcast over the most asinine thing in existence, which is competitive sports. More specifically, amateur competitive sports.
You know what all sports are? You know what all sports are? To make this point even more, your point is all sports are is just reality TV.
Yes, 100%. It's actually good reality TV.
It's the most authentic reality TV, yes.
Speaking of reality TV, sorry, just thought of this now.
Okay.
Do you remember the first season of Last Chance U?
Yes, I do.
You remember the
Netflix,
quarterback?
The Netflix
Yep.
show? Yeah.
The Netflix show? He's playing in the USFL right now.
Oh, well, good for him. Good for him.
He's a starter in the USFL right now. So I think he's like the only guy, like the second most successful guy.
Do you know what I think is funny about storming the field?
Yeah,
Is when
sorry
a
to go
team
back
like
to that.
Kansas, before that, people would actually show up to Kansas games before this previous year, they would beat like Texas, and they would storm the field, and there would be like maybe 50 people on the field.
Yeah.
Because that's all that they had like
Listen.
3,000 people there, and like 50 of them just rushed the field because only 50 students were there.
To pull this back down, to make it even more simple, when I was a junior in high school, Elizabethtown High School won the league in soccer.
Yep.
And 50 people, 50 high school students stormed the field. Like, guys, this is high school sports. Who
It's South
stormed
Central
the field.
Pennsylvania
they had
soccer.
they had to be let to storm the field. They didn't just do it. They waited for the gates to be open, and then they did it.
I was at
The next year, when they made a miraculous golden goal game
yeah.
in the first or second knockout stage of districts, or maybe it was the same year, I don't remember. They stormed the field. Second round of a playoff.
I remember
Guys,
I went to an E-Town football high school game, and they were terrible. They absolutely terrible. And they were like 0-6 or whatever, right? The season's winding down.
never
they
been
were
good.
They were playing another team that had won like one game, and they beat them on a last second play. They beat them.
Yeah.
And the kids tried to storm the field, and the security officer looked at the kid and was like, "You guys are really going to storm the field for winning one game?"
Yeah. Like, I understand there is a certain emotional aspect that comes that we both know of when it comes to your team. And we both had to do a lot of maturing when it comes to sports and your team. But, like, just let it happen, dude. You realize that you're watching a bunch of basically 18, even in some cases 17, but 18 to 26-year-olds play with a full in about 2.5 hours, play 17 minutes worth of actual sport in a large stadium that dwarfs billionaires' stadiums that they build. And you're concerned about people running on the field.
Yeah, it's not like it's an epidemic, right? It's not like it happens after every single game.
Right. It's not like Kansas State when they beat Kansas rushed the field.
The only time I can remember Michigan fans storming the field is when they beat Ohio State in 2021.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I've been following Michigan for 18 years now.
And if it wasn't at a neutral site, it would be the first time they won a national championship since '98.
Yeah. Like
That would be the other
Tennessee had not stormed the field. I don't remember before they beat Alabama, who they had also not beaten for like 15 years. Are you kidding me? 17?
17 years since Alabama.
Since Tennessee beat Alabama before they did. Yeah, so it's not like this is after every Tennessee home win, all the kids are storming the field. Like, they did it the one time.
Yeah, that was the issue with college basketball, where just kids were just after a big game, were just storming the field.
Well, right. And then after COVID, of course, you know, your team would beat, you know, the 19th ranked team, but really, like, you should have, like, both teams could have been ranked, like, they were both 5-1, and
Yeah.
you beat, like, the 19th ranked team, and then they would storm the field because everyone was just happy to be back. And even the guys on TV were like, really, we're storming the field for you beating the 19th ranked team? I mean, you do you, but again, yeah, I mean, in college basketball, yeah, it would happen all the time, but now, come on, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Wait, hold on, that's their basketball coach. I just realized
Alabama,
that.
yes,
No,
Alabama's
Syracuse basketball coach Jim Boeheim,
Boeheim. Yeah, Boeheim.
struck and killed a dude on Wednesday with his car.
The Alabama baseball coach got fired and charged for betting on an
Betting
LSU
on
baseball
games.
game.
Can people stop with the gambling? Not stop penalizing. It's gambling. This isn't 1920. What, you think that coach? Do you know how hard it is to actually manage a baseball game to success? You stumble upon it half the time. The saying is in baseball, you win 60, you lose 60. It's what you do with the other 60 that matters.
Well, what I don't understand is people like Calvin Ridley or all the Lions players that just got suspended, right?
It doesn't make
You can literally
sense.
see what they bet on, and if they bet for their team to win, what does it matter?
Right.
Now, if they were betting against their team, then it's an issue, right? But you can see
Also,
the bets
you
placed.
wouldn't have a sport if betting was illegal.
And my problem is, who is one of the main contributors of the NFL, right? It's DraftKings.
Right.
It's FanDuel, Sportsbook. It's MGM, Casino, Online Bets. It's livebets.com.
It's .lv. It's you don't forget about the good old Barstool Sportsbook,
Right, exactly.
which is
like
headquartered right here in our backyard.
So you're telling your players you can't bet because you might then that leads to stuff about throwing games and all that stuff. You can't tell me that doesn't already happen in some.
You can't. Here's what you can't tell me, right? You can't tell me that the players are going to get suspended for a year for betting, and then Ray Rice gets 6 games.
Yes, absolutely, 100%, 100%.
Tell me what damages more. Like, someone actually physically hit a person, right?
I think Ray Rice actually only got like 4 games.
It was it Adrian Peterson who got 6 games?
Zeke Elliott got 6 games in 1 year for lifting up a lady's shirt at Mardi Gras.
What was it? Greg Olson? Was that the guy who played for the Panthers?
Well, yeah.
And then he went, and then not Jimbo, the Dallas Cowboys owner went and picked him up.
Oh no, that you're thinking of Greg Hardy.
Greg Hardy.
Yeah.
Greg Olson. Yes, Greg Hardy.
Greg Olson just called the Super Bowl.
Yes. Greg Olson's a great guy, I'm sure. Or he has 15 bodies in his backyard. Who knows? Listen, you can't. This drives me up a wall. It's so regulated as a sport, as a hobby, that you can track it, right? Just if they want to bet, just make them report it. You have to get a 1099 at the end of the year anyway.
So what I don't understand are the Calvin Ridley, who got suspended for a full year. He bet on his team, the Atlanta Falcons, to win a bunch of games.
Yeah.
Without him. He wasn't even playing. He bet them to win. If he bet them to lose, that's a different thing. But he bet them to win, right?
Right.
I think that's fine, in my personal opinion. But also, you can't tell me, and this is more so basketball than anything else, right? You can't tell me that the NBA, NFL, whatever, tell the referees to call. They don't tell. They make suggestions to call games certain ways. For example, if things are getting really rough and rowdy in game 1, right, and they let a lot of calls go and they let them play, you bet your bottom dollar in game 2 of a series in the NBA.
If a single bump, they're going to start calling
it is every single bump is a foul, because the NBA probably goes, we don't want to get this out of control. They don't blatantly say, hey, you need to call more fouls.
Right.
You guys need to.
Well, we saw that every single time with the rule changes, with the review changes.
LeBron
NFL.
James is down 3-2 in game 6. All of a sudden in Boston, now I'm a LeBron James kind of fan. All of a sudden he was getting all the calls. He was allowed to get all handsy, and he had one of his best games ever. You can't tell me that referees don't feel that and make those calls.
It is 100% bogus, especially for a wide receiver in football, right?
Yeah.
Like the biggest scandal in betting scandal was the what they call the Black Sox game, or the White Sox, when the White Sox
In like the 1920s, right?
yeah, intentionally threw a game. But that took 9 dudes agreeing to throw a game. Calvin Ridley could drop all of his passes, and the Atlanta Falcons could still win.
Yep. 100%.
Right? I would be more worried about the quarterback than I would be about a wide receiver. It doesn't make any sense. It's back ass words. And
I mean, I do get it. I do understand, because you could have all of a sudden then,
listen,
a Patrick
is the
Mahomes.
is the organized crime all over professional sports and we don't realize it?
Well,
that's
if
the only people making money off of it.
Well, if it is, then someone needs to call the police. Dial that 911.
Like, walk me through what's going to happen if you legalize players allowing to gambling. Right? Pete Rose, one of the greatest hitters of all time in the MLB, will not get in Cooperstown, the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
because as a manager, he bet on some games.
No, he bet on his team to win some games.
Which
and
is
again, like you said, what are managers really doing in the MLB? Like, what do they really do?
They're load managing. That's what the managers are doing.
Like, oh, they'd be like, hey,
like, they
you know
might
what?
have a
This
half
guy's,
an inning.
This guy's, he's gonna throw you 3 straight fastballs. Just hit it. No, like they don't know. Like, the most thing they do are trying to make sure that they pick the correct reliever to come in and pitch.
100%.
That's all their
where
job.
It's like, okay, we're down by 1. We got 2 runners on. All right, we're gonna put the fast guy on. We're then on defense. We're gonna shift these here. Like, that's what they're doing. It's for maybe half an inning.
Yeah,
they have one of the easiest coaching jobs in all of professional
100%.
sports.
Who has the hardest coaching job? Just real quick before we wrap up here.
Okay,
Before we wrap
hardest
up.
coaching job in all of professional sports.
Or in all of sports.
There's a part of me who wants to say a race car crew chief.
But is it though? I feel like the spotter has the harder job than the crew chief.
Well, that's for NASCAR. I don't think there is a spotter in Indy or in Formula One. I'm not sure though.
Okay, all right. So
But
that's out
also,
there.
That's also very valid. I also don't feel like it is. Texas football head coach would be up
Texas.
there.
Oh, that's
putting
a
in-
good one.
You're putting in 18-hour days as a head
Oh,
coach.
yeah.
At a good program.
Yeah. I mean, I would also say a head coach who calls the plays in a football
Correct.
game.
Yeah.
Because now you are directly either side, either defense or offense. You are now directly responsible for whatever happens.
Any coach that goes to a Florida school or coaches a Florida school because
Yep.
they don't have any discipline.
Cowboys head coach. Cowboys head coach, definitely. Did you see what Jerry Jones said?
No.
He goes, the players aren't the problem. Drafting has never been the problem. It's been the coaching. While Mike McCarthy's sitting right there next to him.
Well, I mean, it is Mike McCarthy. The dude's known for one thing, and it's blowing leads and blowing like
Him and
big
Kyle
time
Shanahan.
choking.
Him and Kyle Shanahan. Oh my goodness. All right, you know what? Let's get out of here.
Yeah, we're getting out of here. We're leaving. I'm finding the right. Hey, that's the right one, ladies and gentlemen. It's the 4th and 1 podcast. Thanks for all sticking around for a little bit longer than we've seen. We'll see you guys when we see you guys.
Wash your hands, you filthy animals. See you later.